The question, which bolt action hunting rifle for just under $900? The answer is under this white sheet. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. We got a question to answer this time. Guy is such a nice guy. Guy is such a nice guy that he decided he wanted to buy his son a hunting rifle. Now, back in '74, was it your parents that bought you that Remington 700?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've seen this story, you've heard this story a couple times. That was a 6 Remington?
6mm Remington.
Yeah, okay. That served you well all these years, right?
Almost 50 years now.
Yeah. And so you're thinking, all right, my son John needs a new rifle. What am I going to get him?
He has been hunting for 20 years now and has been doing all of it with either my 50-year-old 6mm or my dad's 100-year-old 30-06.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was time.
Yeah. So tell me about your thought process. What did John tell you that he wanted?
Well, I asked him to go back and think about what he wanted to do with the rifle and come to me with that once he had that figured out, and then we would look at rifles.
Okay.
And his idea was he decided that he wanted a rifle that would take game up through elk size out to 500 yards.
It's a good envelope.
It is.
Capability. Yeah.
It is, yeah. I think some of that's based on, it's all based on his hunting experience, which has been largely in very open country. He's never hunted elk, but he's hunted black bear and mule deer and whitetail, and he's taken all those things. And yeah, it was time to get something that'll reach out there a little better.
Yeah, okay. So now you added some thoughts onto that, right? Because you have a lot of experience.
I did. I reminded him of our 11-mile trek last year, one day hunting mule deer, and you want to keep the rifle light, at least reasonably light. Doesn't have to be featherweight, but I also pushed him a little bit on the caliber choice. Imagine that. I pushed him towards a 7mm Remington Magnum, because that's one of my favorite cartridges, and I've got 20 plus years of loading for one. I've had great success with it in the field, elk, mule deer, antelope, unfortunate coyote that got in the way one day, things like that. So I pushed him towards a 7 mag. It carries a big enough bullet to do a really good job on elk size game or bear or whatever. Also, I liked to think about magazine capacity and how many you can get in that magazine, because we're going to go for something with a hinged floor plate, not a removable magazine. A hinged floor plate down the bottom, and some of the newer cartridges like the PRCs, you know, they're pretty fat and you can't get too many of them in a magazine. So yeah, asked him to think about that too, and then he did. He went shopping. Okay,
so we're after essentially a classic hunting rifle of some sort. I don't mean that in the old school sense of the word, but in terms of the hinged floor plate, around 8 pounds, probably some sort of relatively thin barrel profile, something like that. Did you have a price range in mind specifically from the get-go?
I wanted to keep it under $1,000.
Okay. And you ended up a little bit below that.
I did. I ended up below 900.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what you thought about in terms of options, different rifle platforms, different brands that you were looking at. What was at the top of the list?
Top of the list were some of my old favorites, you know, the Remington 700, the Weatherby Vanguard, Winchester Model 70, the Ruger Hawkeye. All those are really good rifles. Took a look at the Bergara because I'd seen some Bergaras here at your shop, and they're doing really nice. I didn't know much about them. So, you know, it was, I said, John, take a look at those too. And he did. He kind of went through that whole list, and he came to me with his choice.
Okay. So, what did we pick? It's right here. Da-da-da, the Bergara.
Imagine that.
The B14 Wilderness Ridge.
Yes. Has a lot of good things going for it. It's got some really neat features. It's a lot like my good old familiar Remington 700. The action on it I found is really, really smooth. This one's got a 24-inch barrel comes with the muzzle brake. That sure cuts the recoil down from that Magnum.
Oh yeah.
Synthetic stock, free-floated barrel, pretty darn nice trigger. I was impressed with the trigger. Yeah.
So you were able to handle this in the store, I take it? and see it? Okay. Now, I'll take this moment to note that we are sponsored by Bergara. We do business with Bergara, but Guy went out and spent his very own money on this rifle. We didn't get a discount or anything.
Nope.
So we still arrived at this solution.
Yeah. And you know, if I hadn't worked with some of the Bergaras that you've got here at the shop, I don't know if I would have gone that way, but it was, they're very impressive rifles.
Yeah, so the B14 Wilderness that I have in 6.5 PRC is a little heavier than this, so you have to keep that in mind, but has proven to be a rock-solid performer, and that cartridge is awesome. But, you know, I think you made a good choice with the 7 Rem mag, honestly, because you have brass for it, you have dies for it, you have load data for it, and you're not going out to ridiculous distances where you might want some super optimized high BC bullet, optimized cartridge, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, why mess with success, right?
Right. You know, I've dropped the elk with one shot, 175 grain bullet in one side, out the other, dead elk in between. That was real impressive. And then everything else I've shot with it worked out real well too. So I am impressed with that cartridge. And the nice range of bullet weights from about 120 up to 175, and then there's new ones beyond that, but they usually require a faster twist barrel.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a 7. I'd like to get some more hands-on time with one.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'll talk to John, see if you can use his rifle a bit.
Yeah. And then free-floated barrel, obviously, is good. What I like about this rifle platform, like the other Bergaras that we have, including our rimfire Bergaras, is Remington 700 footprint. So you can use different stocks. We have a ton of different style of stocks, right? Which is nice. If you're going to go shoot this, put it in this. If you're going to go shoot that, put it in that. Even between different types of matches, like NRL Hunter, you know, versus PRS. Different regulations, different guidelines. If I wanted to take one hunting, throw it in an ultralight, right? And then the trigger, the ability to upgrade to any type of Remington 700 trigger that you want. You want to put a 2-stage on there? Go for it. You want to put Trigger Tech Diamond on there and turn it down to 6 ounces? Go for it, because we have that capability. The interoperability was really well thought through, I feel like, on Bergara's part.
There's so many Remington 700 accessories out there that you can get, you know, triggers, scope mounts, everything. Yeah. And them being able to apply those Remington-made parts or parts made for Remingtons onto this rifle, that was pretty slick.
Yeah, definitely really good. Okay, so this one was introduced for 2021, so it's a relatively new model. 7.4 to 7.9 pounds. It's sub 8 pounds. That meets your criteria right there. 20 to 26 inch barrel length, depending on, you know, which chambering you have, and there's a special case there as well. We'll mention in a second. Threaded muzzle, love that. 5/8 24. Throw your favorite suppressor on there. Throw your favorite brake on there. Really, really good stuff. It's got the Sniper Gray Cerakote internal magazine. This is 3 rounds, is it? Did you say?
3 rounds in the magazine, yes.
Which should be plenty if you're having that kind of a day. You probably shouldn't be hunting, right? You need more than 3.
There haven't been too many critters that I've had to shoot 3 times. There have been a couple. One bear that wouldn't stay down.
Yeah.
Things happen.
And hopefully you're hunting with a friend too. So
yes.
That's also an option. So when you showed me this chart, this is just from the website. You can go and look up this data if you can't read this. It's pretty small here. But there's this special purpose short barrel. There's 2 SKUs, one in 6.5 Creedmoor and one in 308.
Yeah, 18-inch barrels. So all I can think of is that has to be somebody who's really intent on hunting with a suppressor or using a suppressor on their rifle.
Yep.
And so keeping that overall length short, keep the barrel short, put the can on there, and you've still got a manageable package.
Which, you know, I've thought recently about building a shorter barreled hunting rifle or general purpose rifle. I like the idea of that 18 to 20 inch barrel length. Again, primarily because I'm going to be running a can on there. And now I have multiple modular suppressors. So, you know, with the Banish 30, for instance, we've got a 7-inch config and we've got a 9-inch config. You know, with the Maverick, we've got 6 different configurations: braked, moderator, suppressor. You know, when you add that and the different barrel length options, you know, it's really great now that you don't have to go to your gunsmith and have them cut the barrel down. You know, it's pretty much ready to roll. Get the model that you want for what you want to do, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us about the Optic that you put on here.
Sure. John is still shopping for a scope, and I figured,
he's
well,
a younger guy. He probably wants one of those bigger tactical kind of things.
who knows? He might.
Yeah.
He might.
I agree with him.
Of course you do. Don't talk to him. But he's going to buy his own darn scope.
Nice.
But I happen to have, as I think we all do, sort of a parts drawer of old gun parts, and I had Remington 700, some loopholed bases and rings already. So that was easy enough. And I just stole this off my 204 Coyote rifle.
Oh yeah, we did a story on that.
We did. So right now, coyotes get away scot-free because there's no scope on that rifle.
Or they get a 7 Rem mag.
Hit them with a 7 mag again. And this is a 4.5 to 14 loopholed from quite a while ago. I remember buying this brand new, and I think, wow, that's probably been 20 years, close to it. It has been a while, maybe even a little longer. Sent it back to Loopold to have them put the target knobs on there because I was mostly using it for target shooting, varmint shooting, that kind of thing. Yeah, they stick out a little bit for a hunting rifle, but not too bad. It's proven real good, and you can adjust the parallax up here at the front. So it's an older style scope, but it works real well.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about your results.
Yeah, and we went ahead, we broke the barrel in. John shot, I cleaned in between shots, and by the time we were done with that, we had it pretty well zeroed, and that was kind of nice, and he got familiar with the rifle. That was pretty good. The load was very similar to one we did last summer, where we used IMR 8133 and the 150 grain Hornady.
Right.
And we got some outstanding velocity out of that load from my 26-inch Ruger barrel.
And this, remind me, 24 on this one?
This is 24.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is 24. And so I 76.5 grains of IMR 8133, 150 grain ELDX, which I think that bullet is terrific. And I use a CCI 250 primers, 3,194 feet per second average out of here.
That'll do the job.
And we're half a grain under max, according to the book. So
that's quite a bit of blast with the muzzle brake.
Oh yeah.
What do you think John is planning on doing about that? Is it going to be wearing ear pro while he's hiking, or maybe looking at a suppressor at some point, do you think?
I think a suppressor at some point, but initially it's going to be ear protection.
Yeah.
And I am for sure going to want ear protection if I'm hunting with him.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're beside that person, that's worse than being behind the rifle.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Sometimes by far.
Well, when we've had it out at the range, I've been on the spotting scope on the stool adjacent to him, and it's a buffeting. You know, even though I had good ear protection on, you can feel that on the side of your face, that blast.
However, when you're shooting a 7 Rem mag, really nice to have a brake.
Oh yeah. And I like the 7. It gives me good power, but it's also about the biggest cartridge I can shoot well. After that, I start losing some accuracy. You know, I stepped down to the 7 mag from the 300 Magnum 20 some odd years ago, and nothing against 300 Magnum, I just wasn't shooting it as well as I wanted to. Tried a 7 and said, gosh, this is nice.
The sweet spot, huh?
For me it was, yeah. So
no, I've noticed the same thing. You know, if there's a light-ish weight hunting rifle with a lot of power, I'm thinking of my 300 Remington Ultra Mag, which is no longer a config that I have in the shop because I converted it to a 300 PRC. You've got essentially a bucking bronco.
Yes.
And so to control a bucking bronco to laser precision, it takes a different set of skills. So
yeah, it's different, and yeah, hunting weight rifle and a powerful cartridge, you got your hands full.
Yeah.
However, it shot pretty darn good.
Yeah. So you're just getting in through barrel break-in, almost 3,200 feet per second average for what was that, 5 shots or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And right at a half inch, that technically is sub half MOA for 3 shots at 100 yards during break-in.
And Bergara guarantees 1 MOA or better with good ammo.
Yeah.
And I'd say we got way better.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what we would like to know. First and foremost, Mr. Who, this is right up your alley. What do you think of where Guy landed with his decision for John? And also, 7 Rem mag. What should we be shooting out of this thing? Or I should say John, rather, right?
And of course, he's got a deal. He does hand load once in a while. Mostly he says, hey, Dad, could you load me something? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can do that. And
You're such a nice guy.
I love hand loading, so it's not exactly a chore.
Yeah.
So it is just kind of funny, though.
Yeah, it's just great to share these things with your kids, period, isn't it?
It is. It is. You know, and it's hard for me to realize my kid's in his 30s now. So Okay, fair enough.
Okay, another follow-on question for the rest of you and Mr. Hootie Hoo, if you want to answer this as well. What are you hunting big game with? What would you hunt, say, elk with this hunting season, this fall? Please drop a comment. Tell us what cartridge that you've selected. Tell us if you're hand loading, what bullet and velocity you're loading to. Tell us what rifle you're shooting with. Let's start a discussion. Guy, I'm wishing you and John the best of success this fall with this rifle and for the many years to come. This is
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, well, if he misses,
it's on him.
He can't blame the rifle.
That's right. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later because I'm off to go shooting.